Happy Monday, everybody. Today we're going to be picking up in Numbers chapter 11, so go ahead and start turning there. Yesterday, Sunday, we were there, and we were looking at this account of Israel wandering in the desert, and they start to complain about the manna that they've been given for food. They want meat, and so God is going to prove a point, basically. But I want to ask you, is there such a thing as too much of a good thing? So, for instance, let's stay on the example of food. Take your favorite food, for instance. Mine would probably be enchiladas. My mom has a really good recipe for enchiladas. Now, eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a month. What do you think that's going to do to you? You see, on its own, that may not be a bad thing, but there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And so God, He knows that meat's good for His people, but it's the complaining. Okay, they say it would be better for us to be back in Egypt. And by doing so, they're basically rejecting God. They're rejecting God because they don't trust that He is providing for them. They think they know what's better. And so God, to prove a point, gives them the meat that they ask for, but He gives it in such abundance that they become sick of it. And as we're going to read today, He takes out the people. He puts a plague upon the people who hoard it. Those who complained and wanted the meat, He's getting rid of them because they are like an infestation among the Israelites. He doesn't want this idea to spread further than it already has. So Numbers chapter 11, starting in verse 31. A wind sent by the Lord came up and blew quail in from the sea. It dropped them all around the camp. They were flying 3 feet off the ground for about a day's journey in every direction. The people were up all that day and all night and all the next day gathering the quail. The one who took the least gathered 60 bushels, and they spread them out all around the camp. While the meat was still between their teeth, before it was chewed, the Lord's anger burned against the people, and the Lord struck them with a very severe plague. So they named that place Kibroth Hattaavah. Your guess is as good as mine on that one. Because there they buried the people who had craved the meat. From Kibroth Hattaavah, the people moved on to Hazeroth and remained there. So we see this God giving what they asked for, but because of the way they asked for it, because they were complaining and they didn't realize that God was providing for them already. Think about it. They're in the middle of the desert, in the wilderness, where there's nothing really to eat. If God had not provided the manna and the water, they would have been dead already, and they forgot that. And they complained, and they said it would be better to be back in Egypt. So I want to ask you, in what ways has God provided things in your life that we take for granted? And we often say, well, it would be better off if I was blank, and fill in that blank. In what ways do we do the same thing? See, God gave the people too much of a good thing to show them that trusting Him is better. Trusting God is better than the best plan that you could have for your life, because God knows what's best for you. He sees all the different intricate details of situations that we find ourselves in. He knows how to navigate them better than we ever could. And so all He wants us to do is trust that He has a plan for us. And I hope that you would.